Yeah. Yes, we are live right here. Let me see. I'm having problems seeing myself. I need a taller chair, I guess. I didn't used to have this problem though. Some I'm not doing right. But yes, welcome to Beyond the Page right here. Yes, every single Tuesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, we show up in this space so that we can wrestle with our faith. And it used to be called the Good Fight, but I don't call it that anymore because that's the name of the church. The church is a 501c3, it's already registered and all of that. So Beyond the Page is a ministry of the church that's called the Good Fight. And so this is like worship for us at the Good Fight. This is like worship. So we gather together so that we can have conversations that move us beyond just what we read in the Bible, but to ask questions about what's the spirit of this? Like, how does this look in action? How does this look today? as a as opposed to 2000 years ago. And so how can we make this relevant for us? And let's talk about it. Let's have a push and pull. Let's have a tug of war. Like, let's come and reason together. That's what this is all about. It's when I say church, it's not about we not collecting no dues. We not taking up an offering tithes and all. We're not about to build no building. It's none of that. It's about having the conversation that helps us embody, helps us manifest what we say that we believe in. So I greet you as your guide, Denise. I tried to put on that. It was in my way. I couldn't see it. The Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise. And T, she's right here. So together we greet you in this space, in the spirit of Salbona, that spirit of oneness that binds us together by our humanity. And there's nothing that we, absolutely nothing that we can do about the fact that we are human together, but it is something that we can do about how we handle our humanity, how we um, interact with each other based on our humanity. That is what we can control. And so that's what this conversation is also rooted in. I'm trying my best to figure this out, y'all. Trying my best. Oh, I know what I need. I know exactly what I need. And so I want to have a conversation today based on something that happened earlier when we were talking about Dr. King. This is the last week of Black History Month. Those of you who celebrate that, I've been at war with myself about whether or not I celebrate Black History Month because I tell people all the time that I do not celebrate holidays. And so is Black History Month considered a holiday? I don't consider that a holiday. But anyway, we were talking about what Dr. King said about laws being just and unjust and what our responsibilities are in the face of laws that are just or unjust. And so those are the two types of laws. Those are the only two types that Dr. King talks about. Either the law is just or the law is unjust. And so, if the law is just, then Dr. King says we have not only um, a duty as citizens, not only do we have a duty as people to honor um, the just laws, it's our responsibility. We have a responsibility, a moral responsibility. We have a responsibility as citizens to obey the laws that are just. We don't get to opt out of them. I'm trying my best to do this. Um, they ain't making it better. Okay, we don't have an opportunity to opt our out of laws that are just. Okay. But when there is an unjust law, it's says not only do we have a responsibility as citizens, but we have a moral responsibility. The way that the things that we believe, the beliefs that we hold near and dear to our heart, those core beliefs that make up the essence of who we are, we must be willing to stand up and challenge any unjust law and be willing to suffer whatever the consequences are. And at the time, he was talking about going to jail. You have to be willing to go to jail. You got to be willing to get beat. You got to be willing um, to lose your life if that's what it takes, because for him we know that is what it took. And so the unjust law, we cannot just allow it to go forth, because we have a moral responsibility and we have to hold ourselves accountable to making sure we challenge it. So that's what I was thinking about, because this is Black History Month, that was started as Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson, Carter Godwin Woodson, back in 1926. And then in 1976 is when it expanded to be Black History Month. And we've been celebrating it every year since then. Now, things don't look the same. Like, people really have just boiled it down, dumbed it down to just Dr. King saying, I have a dream, and Rosa Parks not getting off the bus. That's what we've basically done. But it's so much more than that. And so there is also a quote on the t-shirt that I had on Sunday that says, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So these are Dr. King's thoughts that are rooted in the same spirit of Carter G. Woodson, saying, we understand that in this world that we are living in, where there's a white power structure that will not acknowledge and actively, intentionally suppresses the contributions of Black folks to this world, to this society, to this country, then we've got to set up another structure. And so Dr. King was saying, yes, let's set up another structure, a structure where everyone is treated as human, regardless of any kind of label that the world puts on you. Hotel, wait. I'm trying to put you up here. Hotel, always wishing us life, prosperity, and health. I see you. I'm trying my best. Wait a minute. I'm struggling tonight. I'm trying my best to get through this, because I lost my voice Monday. And said one of the things that'll help is drinking a lot of water. That's that ice water, that sparkling water. So the question for tonight becomes, in the spirits of Carter G. Woodson, and in the spirits of Carter G. Woodson and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., thinking about what it means to focus on the humanity of people in the face of unjust laws, what does that look like when it comes to the Bible? Because what I am positing to us tonight is that the Bible is filled with unjust laws. And so if we take Dr. King's words to heart, and if we understand the spirit that Carter G. Woodson used to develop Negro History Week, which is now Black History Month, then what does that mean in the face of laws that we see in the Bible that are unjust? Do we give those unjust laws a pass just because they're in the Bible? Or do we say, wait a minute, I don't care where the injustice is. If it's unjust, then I'm against it. I don't care. And so that was the position I took with Dr. King. And baby, when I tell y'all, some people got mad at me when they felt like I said that Dr. King did not support the Bible. And that's not what I said. I said Dr. King is against unjust laws. And if he's against unjust laws, in my opinion, wherever the unjust law is, he's going to be against it. I don't see how he can preach being against the unjust law and then see one in the Bible and say, oh, well, now, y'all, it's in the Bible, so we got to let the injustice stand. I can't see him saying that. Now, I know that I don't know for a fact what he would have said, because he's not here for me to answer the question, but I sure ask the question. But I sure wish he would, because I wish he were here for a lot of reasons. But so that I would know, because I really believe that in the spirit of him saying that we must be treated fairly and equally and justly and equitably, then we can't let any unjust law stand. And so what I want to do is read this story to you. It's in Judges chapter 19. I want to read the whole story. I'm not going to read the whole story because the way that, I'm using the Lectio Bible now. So if I read the whole story, I would have to read the whole Bible. But just the story that's surrounding what happened between this man and his, I want to call her his concubine. She might be called his wife. We'll see in just a minute. But I want to read it. I just want to read it all the way through. I was trying to figure out if it's better for us to read and stop and read and stop and read and stop. And I just don't think that that's going to be the most effective way. I think that we need to get the story out there because it might be a question that you ask on the stop that'll be answered as the story goes on. So yeah, let's just read the story as a whole. It's 7. I broke it down into 7 pages. And let's talk about this after I finish reading. So Lo says, yeah, however, you have those so-called Christians will say that it is God. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Like, is it really God's will if it is unjust? Or are you, as a human, putting these words into God's mouth so that you can control somebody else and use God to help benefit your own self? And so this becomes one of those questions around what do we, but who really wrote the Bible? And so if you believe that God was sitting on high and speaking to the writers, then these are the laws that these are the words that came out of God's mouth. So then how do you reconcile that? That God tells you it's okay to be unjust. How does that work with your faith? And if it does work in your faith, then I can see a direct line to why you're able to treat your neighbors unjustly because you serve a God that is not just. And so that's really what the conversation is about, is getting us to pay attention to that. Hey, Takia. Hey, Takia. So we're talking about this being the end of Black History Month and Dr. King's pushing us to make sure that we are willing to fight against injustice wherever we see it, because the quote says injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So my question is, what happens when the injustice is found in the Bible? Do you give that injustice a pass because it's in the Bible? Or do you have to say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute? So I'm about to read Judges chapter 19. I'm going to read it all the way through. It's 7 pages. And then we're going to see law. We're going to pause and calmly think about that. So that means I'm going to count for 7 seconds. That's all. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And then let's get into it. So I'm getting ready to start. Now a Levite who lived in a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim took a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. But she was unfaithful to him. She left him and went back to her parents' home in Bethlehem, Judah. After she had been there 4 months, her husband went to her to persuade her to return. He had with him his servant and 2 donkeys. She took him into her parents' home, and when her father saw him, he gladly welcomed him. His father-in-law, the woman's father, prevailed on him to stay. So he remained with him 3 days, eating and drinking and sleeping there. On the 4th day, they got up early, and he prepared to leave. But the woman's father said to his son-in-law, refresh yourself with something to eat. Then you can go. So the 2 of them sat down to eat and drink together. Afterward, the woman's father said, please stay tonight and enjoy yourself. And when the man got up to go, his father-in-law persuaded him, so he stayed there that night. On the morning of the 5th day, when he rose to go, the woman's father said, refresh yourself. Wait till afternoon. So the 2 of them ate together. Then, when the man with his concubine and his servant got up to leave, his father-in-law, the woman's father, said, now look, It's almost evening. Spend the night here. The day is nearly over. Stay and enjoy yourself. Early tomorrow morning, you can get up and be on your way home. But unwilling to stay another night, the man left and went toward Jebus, that is Jerusalem, with his 2 saddled donkeys and his concubine. When they were near Jebus, that is Jerusalem, and the day was almost gone, the servant said to his master, "Come, let's stop at this city of the Jebusites and spend the night." His master replied, "No, we won't go into any city whose people are not Israelites. We will go on to Gibeah." He added, "Come, let's try to reach Gibeah or Ramah and spend the night in one of those places." So they went on, and the sun set as they neared Gibeah in Benjamin. There they stopped to spend the night. They went and sat in the city square, but no one took them in for the night. That evening, an old man from the hill country of Ephraim, who was living in Gibeah, the inhabitants of the place were Benjamites, came in from his work in the fields. When he looked and saw the traveler in the city square, the old man asked, "Where are you going? Where did you come from?" He answered, "We are on our way from Bethlehem in Judah to a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim where I live. I have been to Bethlehem in Judah, and now I am going to the house of the Lord. No one has taken me in for the night. We have both straw and fodder for our donkeys, and bread and wine for ourselves, your servant. Me, the woman, and the young man with us. It. We don't need anything." "You are welcome at my house," the old man said. "Let me supply whatever you need. Only don't spend the night in the square." So he took him into his house and fed his donkeys. After they had washed their feet, they had something to eat and drink. While they were enjoying themselves, some of the wicked men of the city surrounded the house. Pounding on the door, they shouted to the old man who owned the house, "Bring out the man who came to your house so we can have sex with him." The owner of the house went outside and said to them, "No, my friends, don't be so vile. Since this man is my guest, don't do this outrageous thing. Look, here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. I will bring them out to you now, and you can use them and do to them whatever you wish. But as for this man, don't do such an outrageous thing." But the men would not listen to him. So the man took his concubine and sent her outside to them. And they raped her and abused her throughout the night. And at dawn, they let her go. At daybreak, the woman went back to the house where her master was staying, fell down at the door, and lay there until daylight. When her master got up in the morning and opened the door of the house and stepped out to continue on his way, there lay his concubine, fallen in the doorway of the house with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, "Get up, let's go." But there was no answer. Then the man put her on his donkey and set out for home. When he reached home, he took a knife and cut up his concubine limb by limb into 12 parts and sent them into all the areas of Israel. Everyone who saw it was saying to one another, "Such a thing has never been seen or done, not since the day the Israelites came up out of Egypt. Just imagine, we must do something, so speak up." Then all Israel from Dan to Beersheba and from the land of Gilead came together as one and assembled before the Lord in Mizpah. The leaders of all the people of the tribes of Israel took their places in the assembly of God's people. 400,000 men armed with swords. The Benjamites heard that the Israelites had gone up to Mizpah. Then the Israelites said, "Tell us how this awful thing happened." So the Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, said, "I and my concubine came to Gibeah in Benjamin to spend the night. During the night, the men of Gibeah came after me and surrounded the house, intending to kill me. They raped my concubine and she died.
I took my concubine, cut her into pieces, and sent one piece to each region of Israel's inheritance because they committed this lewd and outrageous act in Israel. Now, all you Israelites, speak up and tell me what you have decided to do. So I know I said I was we gonna see law for 7 seconds, but after that story, just for me, I'm not talking about anybody else, but just for me, I need to breathe after that story. So just give me a minute. I just want to take one good inhale through my nose, and I want to exhale it out of my mouth, my open mouth, based on this story. I just need a minute to breathe, y'all. Just give me this minute to breathe. Thank y'all. Okay, here's this comment. Takia said, "Oh hell no, hell no, to the no, no, no." Here go my daughter. He that so you were listening. You were listening because that's what the Bible said. So wait, did he lie? The men asked to have sex with him. Where did he get that they were trying to kill him? Make it make sense. Did he lie? Yes, he did. The men asked to have sex with him. Where did he get that they were trying to kill him? Here's low. Where is the religious message in that story? So if you look at the flyer says something like, why? Just why? That's the title I put on the flyer for tonight. Why? Just why? Lo, I feel like sometimes we be on the same brain wavelength. I know me and Takia are, but like, what it? So that's the whole point of tonight's conversation. Okay, I don't want to speak for y'all, but as far as I'm concerned, that whole story is unjust, and it's in the Bible. So if Dr. King says injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, does that not include the Bible? If I find, as far as I understand, Dr. King, I don't care where I am. I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care what I'm reading. If it is not just, then it is my moral responsibility to make sure that I come for that law no matter what it costs me. Even if it costs me my life, I will put my life on the line to raise up the level of consciousness to the community so that we can know that this is not the way that we're supposed to live together in right relationship. So Takia, talking to you, Lo, what was I supposed to take from this story? Okay, so let me answer that. Let me tell you. First of all, what most people do, what most pastors do is they don't read it. They don't preach it. They don't read it in Bible study. They don't preach it from the pulpit. They don't. So a lot of people, if all you do is go to, I don't want to say it like that. If your form of faith of worship is to receive the word from the pulpit, and you are depending on your pastor to lead and guide you through your faithful journey, if that's the way you practice your faith, you probably don't even know that this story is in the Bible. Because I have never been to a worship. I've been in ministry since 1997. I've been in ministry in Mississippi. I've been in ministry in Florida. I've been in ministry in Dallas. I've been in ministry in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been in ministry in Haiti. I have been in ministry in Nicaragua and Costa Rica. I've been in ministry in all of those places, and I ain't never, ever heard nobody preach this story. Lo said he lied because that lustful spirit wanted him, but got his concubine. Oh, so wait a minute. Ah, so Lo, you are reading this the same way other people read it. So some people who are anti-LGBTQ, they use this story. They use Sodom and Gomorrah because this is a similar story in Sodom and Gomorrah. They don't use this story in Judges, but they use Sodom and Gomorrah. And they use it for that reason. They say, because the men said, come out, let us have sex with him. That they say because the old man says don't do this vile thing, they link the vile thing to them having sex with the man. But let's think about that for just a minute. It could not have been a vile thing because of the way that they handled it, right? They were like, they came out like knocking on the door. We know you got a man up there. Let us have sex with him. Come on, send him out, send him out. Because that's what they do. It's part of their culture. The vile thing is, how dare you have this foreigner in this square waiting for somebody to bring him in and offer him, extend to him the gift of hospitality, and none of you have done it. And so now I have allowed him to come into my house, and you want me to let him come out there so that you can do whatever, treat him however you want to treat him? No. I have taken the stranger in, and I am going to care for him here. I'm not going to send him outside for any reason. I told him every need I would supply in my house. So I'm not going to let you do nothing to him out there. I don't care what it is. Takia says, also, the father was just short of dragging that man. Why he kept giving him, drugging him, why he kept giving him wine and then acting like, oh, wow, look at the time. So I was trying to figure that out too. This is what I think. What I think is this. In this time, the Bible days, like the women's lives didn't mean, I don't want to say didn't mean anything, but they didn't have any power. Women didn't have any power. So you would betrothed to somebody, and the betrothal came with so there were some benefits to it. So for the man who was going to take on the wife out of the father's house, the man had to pay a dowry, and the dowry would be paid in animals and stuff, like whatever offering you had, you would agree upon a price, whatever that looked like, agree upon the price. And so there was a benefit to the father for the daughter to be married, because now I'm finna get some money, whatever it is, money, property, whatever it is. And so when this man showed up to get his concubine, he showed up with a servant and he showed up with cattle. And so the father could well have been thinking, hey, stay here, stay here, stay here, so I can get as much out of you as I possibly can, because I know how bad you want my daughter, because you done traveled all the way back over here to get your concubine. So I know I'm sitting in the seat of power. I can control this. So let me see what I can make, do what it do. That's one idea that I came up with. I don't know other than that. And then I also want to call our attention to, based on that, what Lo said, when the man says my concubine was unfaithful, she was not faithful to me. When we hear about somebody being unfaithful, we automatically think that they went outside of their covenant relationship with whoever their partner is, and they had sex with somebody else. That's what we're thinking. But in this case, that's not what unfaithful means. What in this case, she decided to leave home. She was like, the faithfulness is wrapped up in your relationship with the person. You're supposed to stay in this house with your husband. It ain't got nothing to do with sex, but this is where this is where you live now. So for her to leave on her own as a woman, talking about I'm gone, I'm going back to my daddy's house, it's like, what? Wait, is I'm in the twilight zone? Women you don't have the power to do that. How you gonna treat me like that? How dare you not remain committed to me, faithful to me as your husband? So this didn't have anything to do with sex. And Lo, I love that you have always, you've done it so much that now it's just something I automatically do, is to make sure I'm thinking about the etymology, like going back to the source of where these words came from and thinking about them, defining them in that context and bringing that to the story instead of our modern day understanding, because it's totally different from from when this book was written, when the Bible was written. So we got what else? So the daddy say, come on, come on, come on. So then let me ask this question. When you hear people now say that to drink is a sin, you hear people say that to be I have a friend who's in his life, he ain't never even been inside of a liquor store. Never, ever. Not because he scared, not because he think that the liquor gonna jump on him, but because he believes that to be holy and to stay holy, then he should not allow himself to drink. And so I don't even want to be on the campus of it. Well, he gonna be on the campus because he took me. But he not gonna. And he said, "You want me to walk in there with you? You want me to walk you to the door?" I said, "You no." He said, "You want me to go with you?" And I said, "You said you've never been in a liquor store before." He said, "I have." I said, "Well, don't start today. Not on my watch. Nope. I'm fine. I'm fine." And so he's drinking, and it's like, "Hey, let's have a drink." So they sat down and drank together. Everybody in the club getting tipsy together. When you think about the wedding at Cana with Jesus, when he turned the water into wine, they had been drinking the whole time at the party. They ran out. And Jesus was like, "Look, I'm top shelf with my liquor." Because what they used to, their practice was, we're going to give them the good liquor at the beginning, the good wine at the beginning. And then when they start getting tipsy, we're going to give them the cheap stuff, and they ain't going to know the difference because they drunk. But Jesus, like, even at the end, when everybody toe up, says, "No, no, no, I want you to give them the best wine. So I'm top shelf." And so where do we get this idea from that we can't drink? And then even in the New Testament, it'll say you need to take some wine for your stomach. Like this is stuff that we just make up. We be making it up. Why? Because we are, not all of us, but the people who are making the stuff up, the people who are controlling the narrative, there's a benefit to controlling the narrative because you can have power over the people. If I got the pen, I'm going to make the people do what I want the people to do. I'm going to make the people say what I want the people to say. Like, that's what happens when you control the narrative. And so here this man is upset. And then think about this. The man waited 4 months before he went and said, "I'm going to go get my concubine." And me, what do you all think? But me, I'm thinking he waiting 4 months because he's hoping that she gonna come back. Because remember when we were talking about Genesis and we said that one of the consequences for Eve in eating of the fruit was that she was gonna always desire her husband. So for this woman to walk out on her own, to have agency over her own body and stay gone because she ain't studying you, all of that's got this man all riled up. And so he says, so you ain't coming back? Oh, I'm finna come get you." So he goes to get her. The man, I'm talking about the husband, he is so concerned about being in the land with Israelites. He's so concerned about hanging on to the code of his tribe. "I'm not going to stay anywhere that's not where Israelites live. Israelite adjacent, because the Benjamites, whoever it is that we consider to be Israelite, I'm not staying in, I'm not trusting anybody else. I'm only going to trust my people." So he makes it all the way to his people. And then this happens with the old man. The old man comes in out of the field. "You can stay at my house." Come in the house. The people from the village say, "Bring him out, bring him out, bring him out." He's like, "No, you're not finna mess with my visitors, because that's not what we do. But you can have this daughter and this concubine, because I don't care what you do to them, because they don't matter." Remember, the hospitality is extended to the man. The hospitality is not extended to the women, because the women are powerless. They don't have any rights. And so that's why they're saying, you take these women, because we don't care what you do with them. But we honor men here. And he is, not only is he a man, but he's a foreigner. And so he's my guest. He's a stranger. No, that's scripture. That's in the Torah. That's what I'm going to do. And so he didn't let the daughter didn't go. The concubine went. And so let's think about that for a minute. The dad is like, "You can have my daughter and his concubine." But it only turns out being the concubine. Now, we talked about this the other day. There's so many words, so many parts missing to the story. That's why we end up making stuff up. But when I think about the fact that this woman was married to this man and she had the audacity to leave him, and the audacity to stay gone so long that he had to come get her, and the audacity to let her daddy take up for her. Not let her daddy take up for her, but her daddy keep prolonging my stay. Then when it's time for something to go down, yeah, I'm gonna send you out there. I felt it in this reading, because I feel different things when I read it on different days. But in this reading, I felt like he was trying to punish her because he did not appreciate the fact that she was unfaithful to him. And again, unfaithful in this context is not about having sex with anybody else. It's about leaving the house, leaving your husband. And going home, going back home. Because the whole goal for women, you're supposed to leave your father's house to go to your husband's house. Like, that's the way that worked back then. And so I feel like he wanted to, punish her. And so he says, they gang raped her. Listen to what we're saying. We just read it. They raped her all night long. They desecrated her body so much so that it took her life. All she had enough energy and strength to do was to crawl back and just get to the door. And when she got to the door, she crumbled, dead. And then the husband wakes up the next morning, opens goes to the door, opens the door. There she is. He talking about, get up, let's go. You don't want to know why you ain't wondering why she lying down right there. That ain't odd. That ain't nothing that's not, you don't want to check in with her. I think one version, I might have made this up, but I could have sworn one version I read, I probably made it up. I said he kicked her. That was probably me. Yeah, that was probably me. I probably said something like, I'm gonna use some poet, my what do you call it? My preacher's license, whatever preachers be giving to themselves to just my sanctified imagination. That's it. I'm gonna use my sanctified imagination. So one time I was talking about, I used my sanctified imagination. I said he kicked her too. Get on up. And now listen to this. He sent her out there to be gang raped. They gang raped her literally to death. He gets up and he mad that she dead. He ain't mad that she was gang raped. He mad that she dead. So what does he do? He cuts up her body into 12 pieces. 12 is a significant number in the Bible. And then it's like, he sends them. I'm laughing because I'm trying to figure this out, right? So you don't have no email. You don't have snail mail. You don't have the internet. You don't even have no pen and paper where you are. Like, they always had a messenger. So probably that servant that was with him, it was probably his responsibility to take those parts to the 12 different people in the groups, tribes in the regions. That was probably his job. So he cuts up her body. Now, where we start doing that in the Bible? All the time in the Old Testament, huh? The Old Testament don't play. The Old Testament, smite them, Jesus. Smite them, Lord. We went Jesus. Smite them, Lord. So he cuts up her body. The same body that you gave out to be raped, gang raped all night long. The same body that you had no concern about that was dead on the threshold. Now you cut the body up because you want to wage war. You are mad because your property has been destroyed. What that sound like? For us to be talking about a human being somebody's property. We can connect that to chattel slavery. And we can connect that to women's rights. I'm on a bank account with a man. I went in and said, I want to take my name off this bank account. And she said to me, you cannot take your name off this bank account unless he is with you. Oh, wait a minute. I just saw this. Lo, who said that drinking was a sin? All things in moderation. Now, Lo, you know some people that think drinking is a sin. Drinking a sin. For some people, wearing pants a sin. For some people, wearing makeup is a sin. For some people, having music in the church is a sin. For some people, smoking is a sin. For some people, not being submissive as a wife to your husband is a sin. We done made up all kind of sins. And some people got all of they go to a place where all of that's happening at the same time. One, who was he delivering her piece of body to? And what are they going to do with it once they get it? Okay, great question. So he's delivering the we can go back and look at it. He's delivering the pieces to the 12 tribes in the region. And so basically what he's doing is he's calling them to war. And that's what they're going to do. So now that because he at the end of the story, the part that I read, because the story goes on. The end of the part that I read, he's like, now I need y'all to tell me what y'all gonna do, because I'm calling you on the carpet. I'm sending this out to all 12 of y'all. How dare y'all treat my property this way? You have destroyed my property, and I have come for you to get my reparations. So somebody finna do something about the fact that I just lost my property. And I'm sending it, yep, I'm sending it to you, all y'all. That's what he's doing, calling them to war. And so now the people have to decide whether or not they're going to go to war. Because even just like us, because a lot of the things that we do in this world, we patterned after the Bible, at least in principle. So just like we have arbitration, like we ain't got to go to war. Let's come to the table and figure this out. Like, let's cut a deal. And so that's like, what y'all going to do? Y'all want to fight about it? Y'all want to give me some more property? Y'all, because y'all paying for this. That's what he's doing by sending off the pieces. And so this whole conversation is rooted in the question from the very beginning. Let's not lose sight of the question. This is unjust. It's a law. It is legal for him to treat his concubine this way. It's legal for him. Just like chattel slavery was legal. Just like they legalized the forcible migration of the forcible removal of First Nation people from their land. All of that lynching they made legal. All of this stuff was legal. But that does not mean it's not, that it's just. Just because it's legal don't mean it's just. And so here we have these laws, and he's able to treat this human like this. And it's an unjust law, and it's in the Bible. What does that mean? Are we supposed to give the Bible a pass? So when I said Dr. King would challenge the Bible, that's what made the people mad yesterday. How dare Dr. King, I'm talking about, they were acting like I was a heretic, like they were finna burn me at the stake. And I stood 10 toes down on it. And that's why I said I wish he were here. Because I believe in every bit of my body, all the way down to my Shandalaha, like my friend Deidre, she taught me that word. I feel it all the way down in my Shandalaha. That Dr. King would say, I don't care where you see the law. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice. Injustice anywhere is everywhere. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So I believe that includes the Bible. Do y'all think so? Now, the only way you can say yes to that, yes to that, is if you are willing to then revisit other parts of the Bible. Because you can't say, well, this is the only one. I'm just going to pick this one. I'm going to say this one unjust, but the rest of them ain't unjust. I ain't going to look for no more. If your mind is opening up enough for you to say, I wish I had my voice. I can't even do my dog. For you to say, then that would necessarily cause your soul and your spirit to start becoming restless, because now you got to start rethinking this thing. Is this some more unjust laws up in here? Wait a minute, I don't even want to start I don't even want to do the Old Testament, because she read that out the Old Testament. Look, I ain't ready for it. I ain't ready for the Old Testament. Let me just start in the New Testament. Is this some unjust laws in here? Let me just start with the easiest book to read. The easiest book to read would be Jude. It's only one page. Another easy book to read would be Philemon. That is one chapter, basically. Like, let me just start with something easy and see if something is unjust. Because I guarantee, if you read Philemon, you're going to say, as a matter of fact, let's do that next week. My voice is gone. I rested my voice all day after the show today, because that's what they told me to do on the internet. Dr. Google said, if you rest your voice, then you'll be able to use it. I'm doing the best I can. So then what? What does this mean? And does that shake you? How does that make you feel to hear somebody, not just to hear me say it out loud, but to feel in yourself, in your body, that you almost about to agree with me? You almost about to say, what does that feel like? Here's low. They were going to kill the woman at the well. Who was going to kill the woman at the well? The disciples? I don't remember the story, them wanting to kill her. I know they wanted Jesus to stop talking to her. I know they was asking Jesus, what are you doing? You know this ain't what we, not only is she a woman, but she was a Samaritan. And Jews hate Samaritans. And that's one of the things I love about Jesus. Just the way Jesus moves preaches a sermon. The fact that he just stood there and engaged another human in conversation, regardless of gender, regardless of ethnicity, Jesus is human to human in the spirit of Salbona, the spirit of oneness. I see you. I celebrate you. I honor you. And so the disciples raise up. What you doing? What you doing? So now he says to them, look, go on about y'all business because y'all ain't even ready. Y'all ain't even ready to have no real conversation. Go on, get some bread. Whatever I told y'all to go on and do. So just the mere act of treating a human with dignity and respect, regardless of labels and identity, Jesus did that at the well. So I don't remember who was going to try to kill her, but they definitely didn't want him to interact with her. But now they did want to kill the woman who was caught in adultery. They did want to kill her. That's why they got the stones. And Jesus squat down and started writing in the sand. People be like, what he writing in the sand? I believe he writing all their names and saying, I don't believe that God takes score. So I don't think that Jesus was writing down no sins, because I don't even believe the sin exists because Jesus came to get rid of the sin. What I think is he was like, Thomas, you sure you want to do this? Jonathan, you sure you want to do this? Habakkuk, you sure you want to do this? Yep. Okay, yeah, they wanted to kill him. Yep. They definitely wanted to kill the woman that was caught in adultery. But here's the thing, again, how can the woman be caught in adultery by herself? Make that make sense to me. If she's caught in adultery, by definition, sheer definition alone, somebody else was in the bed too. So why is she the only one about to get stoned? And that's, again, Jesus sending that signal. Not only do I not care that she's a woman, I'm not going to let you shame her for how she handles her own body. Y'all got her out here because y'all want to shame her. Put a big old A on her chest. No, that's what we not going to do. What we going to do is we going to rethink this thing. We going to realize that every time you point one finger this way, 3 fingers pointing back at you, I'm going to need you to focus on that. Actually, I'm gonna need you to think about that. That's what I need you to do. Think on these things. If Philippians, whatever is good, whatever is true, think on these things. I need you to think on what you are really doing right now in this moment. Singling out this woman. And especially if you call her the weaker vessel. If you really believe that she's a weaker vessel, then why would you treat her like this? Why would you kill her and not the man? Oh, because you consider the man to be more worthy. In the New Testament, it say God is no respecter of persons. So where y'all get that from? Because that happens in the New Testament. The stoning of this woman happens in the New Testament. Where y'all get that from? And so that would be another unjust law that we have to ask ourselves. Are we going to give it a pass, this mistreatment of women, because it's in the Bible? The Bible says we can do it. Is that how we're going to interpret the Bible? Exactly. Because she is a woman. You know what, Lo? Not only is she a woman in biblical times, But somebody, I'm waiting on somebody to tell me, explain to me, make it make sense to me why prostitution is illegal. Why is sex work illegal? I firmly believe that if the sex working industry was dominated by men, I don't believe it would be illegal. I really don't. Because what are you saying to the sex worker? You can't have control over your own body? How you gonna tell somebody that I can't pay for sex? Why can't I? Because you don't think it's the right thing to do? Okay, well, don't do it. Sometimes I don't be understanding. So it's not just the women in the Bible. We are still struggling with this today. As far as I know, the only state that where sex workers, where it's not only a legitimate profession, but it's controlled. I mean, like they get paid, they got union, like all of that stuff. And I think also in Germany, when I was in Germany, isn't it in Germany where you have the red light district? Or was I in Amsterdam? Amsterdam. Yeah. And so that's the only thing that I'm asking us to wrestle with. And that's why I brought up this story. I brought up the story because I was if I were somebody who gambled with money, I was trying to figure out how much would I wager on the fact that I bet there are people that's gonna look at this story and be like, wait a minute, that's in the Bible? Where you get that from? But I don't bet money. I ain't gonna say I don't bet money. My daddy say the casinos are already rigged. The house always wins. Do not waste your money. So that's not what I do. Now, I will bet you uh I will bet you a buffet at the casino. Cause I look, them buffets at the casino. My friends go and they be over there gambling. They be like, Denise, I'm gonna be at the buffet. I'm gonna be having me a cocktail while y'all losing y'all money. And then I say, if y'all got $1, if somebody give me $1, I can go to arcade. Y'all about to lose $1,500. It's gonna take y'all about 3 hours, and in those 3 hours, I'll still have change off my dollar. Cause when I Miss Pac-Man and Gallagher, Centipede, I can play it all night long. That ain't but 75 cents. Well, now it might be. It used to be a quarter. I'm showing my age, but that's what I'm asking us to think about. To Selah. Let's just pause and calmly think about these things. I'm not asking you to answer tonight. I'm not even asking you to answer me. I'm asking you to say, to ask yourself, if I agree with Denise that this is unjust and it's in the Bible, how can I support the Bible when I know it's unjust? I don't have to throw away the whole Bible. But I'm gonna have to talk about some of the stuff in the like what wait, what's happening right now? So you gotta rethink how you're gonna live your faith. Because the last thing I'm gonna do is tell you to get rid of the Bible. Because if anybody ever come up in here and you come up in the kitchen and you just happen, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna come up in the kitchen, you're gonna see a bench in the kitchen. You're gonna be like, oh, Gary, where you get this bench from? I love this bench. And because you love the bench, you're gonna see underneath the bench that it's an open space and there's nothing but Bibles in that open space. I ain't got but this much space. However long the bench is, that's how many Bibles I got in there. So I'm the last person to say, don't read a Bible, throw a Bible away. Now I have thrown Bibles away. I have thrown plenty of Bibles away. But I keep my Bibles. I read my Bibles. I consider them precious. I do. But I don't believe everything in there. And I'm gonna challenge a whole bunch of stuff that's in there. And I'm gonna preach a whole bunch of other stuff that's in there. I'm gonna shout about some stuff that's in there. And that's what I'm gonna do. You are asking for a re-education of religious thinking. You are asking for a re-education of religious thinking. I can go with that. Yeah. And I want to add that in some cases, I'm asking us for the education of our religious thinking. Because for some of us, I don't even think that we were ever educated. I think that what we have done is that we have been born into this stuff. Whenever a white person says to me that they're not racist, I say to them, it's not possible. It is not possible for you to not be racist. It is possible for you to recognize you are racist and to do the work of being anti-racist. That is possible, but it is not possible for you to grow up in this world, in your home, and have all of the privileges afforded to you and not be racist. Why? Because you don't even know who you are. Because the world is moving, rocking on. That's the way your world is. You don't even understand the implications of your privilege because you're not taught that. Something has to happen for you to say, wait, what? And then you make a decision. Do I want to keep living like this? Or do I want to say, yes, that is my history, but I can evolve? Right? I can now be educated in a different way. So that's how I feel about what you said, Lo. For some of us, yes, it's a re-education because we recognize that we need to rethink some things. And for other people, it's like, oh, I ain't never thought about it in the first place. Mama, have y'all ever heard that story about the woman who is getting ready to cook? I think it's a chicken. Let's just call it a chicken, a hen. I'm not a cook, so I don't know. But she cuts the head off before she puts it in the pot. And then that's one generation. Then the daughter, the grandmama does that. Then the daughter of the grandma, she does it too. Now the daughter of the mama finally says, I saw you and I saw grandma cut this head off. Why you cut the head off of the chicken before you put it in the pot? And she said, she said to her mama, and mama said, I don't know. So her mama asked her mama. The grandma says, because we ain't had no pot big enough to hold the chicken. And so they like, we got plenty of pots in here big enough to hold the chicken. Well, then why you cut the head off? Because you never asked. You never heard the story. You never realized that things have changed and that you don't have to do the same thing that you used to do just because grandma and them did it. It's the same principle for me. I wish I had some bourbon. I wish. That's like you try to give me a hottie toddy, a hot toddy. I got a degree from the University of Mississippi, baby. We used to hot toddy, hottie toddy. What? Look, we done talked about it all the time. Yes, because I'm making it worse right now because I can feel the pain. Hot tea with lemon and honey. I got the lemon and I got the honey. I don't have no tea and I don't have no bourbon. So what can I train? What can I substitute for the tea? Just warm water. Maybe I could put some salt in the water. What? Do you gargle Epsom salt? That's not healthy, is it? I don't know. But yeah, that's what I wanted to ask us to think about, especially in light of the fact that this is the last week of Black History Month. And most people only want to talk these days. I don't want to say most people. The people who are controlling the narratives only want to talk about Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech, and they only want to talk about Rosa Parks was too tired to get up off the bus, and that story ain't even right. She was not too tired. That was a tactic. That was a strategy. This was a strategic planning at its best. So, yeah, what would Dr. King and Carter G. Woodson do in this moment? They would say, we got to come up with another system. Carter G. Woodson said, you are intentionally suppressing the voices, the contributions, silencing the contributions. You are doing it on purpose. And the only way I know how to fix it is to create a whole separate institution. And that's what he did with Negro History Month. And that's what we need to do with our faith. If it's going to really work for us the way we need to work, the way it needs to work for us, we got to call some of this stuff that we reading in this Bible unjust and create a new way of living. And I'm not even saying create a new way for the world to live, because it didn't take but one. Jesus turned the world upside down. You can turn your world upside down. Or right side up, like who is that? Harriet Tubman. Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth. salt and warm water to gargle. Okay, now I got that. I got that. I could do that. Thank y'all so much for joining us for Beyond the Page. We'll be right back here next Tuesday at 7 o'clock CST. Can't wait to see you then. Bye.